just want to get 1 or 2 games in before it gets dark. Man. I'm gonna go check out this football game in a minute, man.
What happened? The other day you played really well. Eddie, was that time-based or?
He has a patient game. So, a lot of times, if you play somebody that's patient, you try to play something different. But if your innovation doesn't work, then you get checked. So, I didn't play patient.
This one?
Try to attack it. Yeah.
This one, I know. This happens to me too. So.
But
Same.
1 or 2 moves with the queen, you're not potentially, I don't know,
Yes.
so that's usually how the OGs play. They don't really strategy. In that last game, he had his queen lined up with the bishop. I gave the bishop was one of the critical pieces, and he still came through with a solid strategy. So man, I get this light squared bishop. I can slow this guy down, but it didn't work. You know? So when he comes through with that making 2 or 3 with the queen and the pawn like that, you're not supposed to get checkmated like that. You know what I'm saying? That's supposed to be like an amateur checkmate. You know what I'm saying? That's not pro at all. That's not pro at all. Yeah. All right. Yeah, I'll talk to you later, man. But yeah, he won fair and square for sure. I'm not supposed to. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. No, I'm good, man. I'm good. I got some food already.
It's hard to play in the dark, man.
Yeah, it's tough.
Hey guys, Brian here, and we are going to learn a lot of endgame stuff, so this is going to be good. Alright, in the game, let's go in this position. In the game, rook a7 was played, king takes, rook takes, and I played king g5 because I wanted to clear the way for the pawn, obviously, but that was actually a mistake. If you want to go move back, pause the video, find the best move for black here. You can do so now. Hold on, I'm going to turn off this evaluation just to make it more fun. You'll see. Okay, so here, what I should have done is rook g8, and that accomplishes a lot. First off, it protects all these queening squares from my opponent. Also allows me to come behind, put my rook behind my passed pawn. I felt like this would take too much time, maybe, but I mean, then again, it's really hard to think in blitz when you have like seconds left. So here comes white rook, grab another pawn, put my rook behind the pawn, takes, king moves up, and now white's going to get his pawns rolling. I get my pawn rolling, check, check, his pawn rolls, my pawn, and now it's kind of a pawn race. White's going to try to capture the pawn, and he's going to have to sack his rook. And pause the video. What do you think? Is this a win for black? I mean, draw, a win for white? What do you think? This is actually a draw if played perfectly. So let's say a6. Now the king's going to come over. c5. King comes over. King comes ever so closer. And now the white king wants to escort his pawns to the queening square, but this is how powerful a rook and a king can kind of be. There's no way for this for these pawns to queen, so this will be a draw for black. Alright, let's go in this position here. In the game, king h4 was played, and then white played rook d8, which was actually a mistake. So let's go move back, pause video, find the best move for white here. Alright, so my position's all gummed up here. It's going to take some time for me to rearrange my pieces to push this pawn, so this rook is doing a good job just as it is. So what you want to do is obviously push your pawn. So you have c4, and now here's the neat little trick for you guys. Well, not a trick, but an exercise for those of you who don't know much about endgame. If white takes, what do you think? Is it a win for white, win for black, a draw? Well, let's see. If white takes, black recaptures. Then you have the following. Boom. Well, actually, let's go back here. Can the king catch the pawn in time? Because right now, black has 4 squares, white has 3, so black must spend time to come here. But if you guys don't know the square of the pawn rule, so what you want to do is draw a square from the pawn all the way to the queening square. So that's 4 squares, and then just 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And the rule is, if the king can, if it's your opponent's turn and they can get inside your square, then they can catch the pawn. So obviously, black can catch the white pawn. So white's going to push the other pawn. Here comes the black pawn, and oh, actually, I want to go move back. This c6 move is very, very important, as we'll see, but I'll show you why it's important. Now it's just going to be a check fest here. But why was that? Why was c6 so important here? What happens if instead of c6, a6 is played? Then you have the following. Boom. Black queens first and guards the queen square, and black is going to win this game. This c6 push is to interpose so that black cannot guard this queening square. So there's a lot of little things in the endgame that come up that you really have to kind of look out for. but it's really hard to think of all those things that are time control. So here, let's say, oh yeah, okay, let's go back to this position. So instead of rook takes, what should a white done here? White should just push the king to kind of escort his pawns. And now black is going to make way. Rook down. And it's going to be... Oh, this also shows you how powerful a king and a pawn can be versus a rook. White can actually afford to sack here. And this will be a rook versus a bishop. Coming back here. Oh wait, let's go move back here. Kind of notice kind of this pawn guarding this check too. So a lot of little things there. Okay, so let's go here in this position, and white plays a4, and then I played king g2 because I wanted to cover the queening square. And that is actually a blunder. It's kind of, yeah, you have to be really, really precise in the endgame. So let's go move back, pause the video. What would have been the best move for black here? It's h3. And if you're wondering what's, eventually this square has to be protected, right, in order for it to queen. Alright, let's see how it's going to turn out. a5, h2, a6, and here's kind of the move. The rook is the one that's going to seal the file off from the enemy rook. Rook check. You're going to have this little dance here, and let's say kind of black doesn't want to go for the draw. What's wrong with king g2 here to guard the queening square? This is actually a big mistake because a7, black queens, white queens with check, and kind of like what happened at the end of the game, and this is sayonara for black. So man, there's a lot of little detail stuff that you have to be conscious of when you play the end game. And not only that, I mean, when you play blitz in the end game, you're only going to have like, what, 30-20 seconds left to kind of process all that. So very, very easy to make mistakes unless you know it really cold. So what can we learn from this game? Rook down to not only put it behind your passed pawns, but also defend against your opponent's queening squares. Let's see. What else can we learn here? Kind of the whole how to draw in this type of position here. The rook check, horizontal rook checks. Let's go here. We kind of learned, well, for those of you who don't know the square rule, square of the pawn rule. If you can enter it on your turn, then you can catch it in time. Kind of the subtle things of like interposing. If you're queening on opposite sides, you don't want to get queened. You don't want your queening square to be attacked by your opponent's queen when he squares. So when he queens. So kind of this c6 push. It's a very, very nuanced little detail that it's key to remember. What else? Yeah, I mean, you can kind of afford to sack here. And so that's kind of something to keep in mind. And ooh, that's a nice little sweet rook move there. Yeah. And also kind of the dangers of putting your queen on the diagonal of your opponent's queening square when they're that close to queening. You're going to get it with check. So this was a game, yeah, I wish I could, wait a minute, yeah, well, yeah. Well, yeah, I think this would be actually a good game to cover move by move. I put it on Patreon, so I'm going to do that right now, and should be up by the time you guys see this video. So if you are a Coffee Chess patron and you're watching this, then just go log into Patreon and you'll find I'll go move by move on kind of the thoughts behind my moves and reasons, as well as what I think the other person was trying to do at the same time. So I think that's the best way to learn move by move. And yeah. So if you are a patron, then just log in and you should be able to see it right now. And if you're not a patron, then there's a link in the video description. You can check it out. You get a lot of cool stuff, and it also really helps support the channel. You get access to matches and access to analysis like this, and there's going to be like a beach meetup, Santa Monica beach meetup this month, and I'm going to post the details, time and location for that, date time for that, and so yeah, a lot of cool stuff that you'll get to help support the channel. And because yeah, it takes a lot of time to drive out there, come back, edit, and do all these type of videos, so really appreciate it. And hope you guys enjoyed the analysis, hope you guys enjoyed the game. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and thanks. I'll see you guys later.